I don't think everyone either thinks to do or can do. Like, I've seen people, I know people who keep toxic people in their lives just because they've always been in their lives and that's it. Like, they don't think of, like, what could life be? How much better could life be if this person wasn't here doing what they're doing, undermining what I'm doing? And part of the reason a lot of times that happens is I think people are insecure about their own lives, they're not happy, they're not content, and they want to drag you down into their muck.
Yep.
All right, what's up, everyone? We are back. We have the icy hot partner in crime here. He's been out for like a month.
I have no idea.
And
literally just got back last night.
The last video I did was the Yeezy Day video, and I have to say it was the most engagement I've ever got, I think, on any of the videos. And here's the thing is, this is gonna sound weird, but my wife was actually watching a video of a former YouTuber that basically recently was like, I know everyone wants me to do my old style videos, but I'm not gonna do it anymore. Because when I was making those videos, at that time it was what I wanted to do, but I lost my love for it, I lost my passion for it, and I started to really like the engagement with real people in the real world that I didn't get when I was making those videos, and that I'm not getting if I try to make them again.
Right.
And I thought, that's a really interesting point. And when I started this channel, it was always to be about what interests me in the time. So we've had a lot of strange shifts. We had an airsoft phase, we've got cars, we've got sneakers. Those are kind of always gonna be interests of mine. But I think where we really want to take this long term is just talking about things that everyone can relate to in life. And the other half of this that I don't think I touched on when we made the first Hot Talk videos is the engagement aspect. Like, I want to hear what people think of what we think and start a conversation. Like, this is the beginning, not the end, not a lecture. It's, let's see how people really feel.
It's all perspective, right? And I think we enjoy each other's company because just the perspective on various topics, and I think that's what Hot Talk does. And we're hoping that's what Hot Talk does for the audience. And it'd be great to definitely get that engagement you're talking about.
All right. So yes, so you led right into what I was gonna hit on. So, you know, you brought this up in one of the previous videos, which is that when we go someplace and we're just hanging out, we're kind of like the flame that the moths get drawn to. I mean, it's this bad analogy. I'm not calling people moths, but people are drawn to us, and I think it's like, I mean, like, pat myself on the back, whatever. It's because
we're not boring people.
We bring a positive energy.
Yes.
But it's not fake. And so the topic today, if you'll indulge,
sure,
is finding happiness. Like, I think I'm a happy person. That doesn't mean I don't get pissed off at people. That doesn't mean I don't have my moments. But generally speaking, like, I love my life. I'm really happy. And I think that if I really try to think about why that is, there are elements to it. So I want to kind of talk about that.
So it's interesting. I'd like to know where this is stemming from. But even before we get to that, that's where I was going to. We're not boring people. I think it was Klay Thompson. I saw it on a quote. I saw it on TikTok. Who knows what? He said, "I'm never bored because I'm not boring. There's no boring times, only boring people, and I'm not boring." Something like that. Clay, sorry if I messed up your quote, but it made a difference with me. So with that, I think there's definitely something about, we take what we need to take seriously, we can laugh at ourselves, and we control what we can control. And I think that kind of leads to the whole quote unquote happiness, right? Because there's always hard times. Focus on what you can control, not on what you can't. All right, what's in the box?
I think I just cut myself. Oh man, I literally flipped the knife and I just cut myself. I needed a new chair to sit on, and I've been meaning to unbox this, and I hadn't yet, but now I'm bleeding. So I think you actually just hit on one of the things, and I want to run it back because if you could see my notes, it's so funny that we can be on the same wavelength when we're not together. Did you say we are serious or are not serious?
We can be serious about topics when we need to be.
Yes. Okay, so you know what I wrote?
What did you write?
I wrote, we don't take ourselves too seriously.
True.
Unless we're serious. And
Yeah.
when we're serious,
Oh, yeah, get out
if
of
you
our
don't
way.
take us seriously,
Yeah, get out of
we're
our
gonna
way.
cut your throat.
Figuratively.
But I think that's kind of part of it, right? Is like
Yeah.
you don't need to impose your will on the world, but there are things that you care about, and if you care about them, then you shouldn't let someone impose their will on you.
So I just spoke at it's a conference. It's called Secret Knock. They had this prosperity camp where a lot of entrepreneurs come together. They had me speak at it just this past Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't recall. But the topic that you touched on is very similar to the topics that we were taking on there. And when I was speaking about it, I was kind of talking through, look, what are your passions? What are your hobbies? An old mentor of mine said, there's things you're good at, there's things that you like, and there's things that the world needs. If you're good at something, you like it, the world doesn't need it, you have a hobby. You're good at it, you like it, the world needs it, well, you can get paid for it, then that's kind of the win-win. So I think this whole happiness thing, and really it's just a journey, kind of relates to you opening up a new chair, which is really interesting, or taking it to bigger things in life, right? Like, I haven't had a day off since I can remember, so I'm really enjoying this time now.
Yeah, so you and I think, have a very similar mindset about life, but we're structured very differently. So I have a regular 9 to 5. It's a 9 to 5 that I was passionate about once upon a time,
Yep.
that I do incredibly well, and that, you know, I don't want to say I want to stop like immediately. I enjoy what I'm doing, but the 40 hours a week I put into it is enough for me.
Yep.
And part of that is because the passion I have for everything else that life has to offer has me wanting to spend the other time doing things like this.
Yep.
And so making time, I think that's a big thing. To happiness, key to happiness, making time for the things that are important to you. And this is like a tricky bit for people, for my own coworkers. I hope they're not watching this, or if they are, I mean, somebody's got to do the dirty work. Like, I put in my 40 hours, I do an incredible job, but I also know when to say no. When something is going to intrude on me and my time in a way that is going to make me miserable at work.
You know, this is, so the thing there is, it's really interesting, right? It's all time management. And I think the one thing people in general, at every level of work, business, however you want to call it, take for granted is the value of time. And where I'm going with that, okay, let's not burn that, just the fire's super hot. But where I'm going about that is, when we talk about the value of time, nothing in this world is free, that much we know. If I ask you to come out to me instead of me coming here right now, it takes half an hour out of somebody's time.
Yeah,
right? So
but
this,
I
we're in
would've
it
done
together. But no, from a work sense, right? You get asked to put in the extra hour. It's costing time away from your home, your wife, me, you know, something like that, right? So it kind of goes into that. But you know, here's the flip side to that. I chose 2011 to go out on my own, and I think I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to make my own time. When I want to work, I work. When I don't want to, I don't. You know, I have to be smart about it. Can't be just like anything else. You need discipline, but that's the same. That's legitimately the one reason why I went out on my own. I wanted to make my own time.
So you have done a fantastic job at it. And in many respects, what you've accomplished is where I want to go. I think the difference with the route that I've
very
plotted for
different
myself
routes. Yeah.
is when I get there, I want to be financially secure in that, like, I don't need the the 9 to 5 that I love, or the 100 and whatever it is hours you're putting
Yeah.
in, I don't need that to cover the bills, because then I can do things like this, which, by the way, like, we're not making any money off of this.
Not about the
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
But you're right, it's not about the money. So I think high-level thoughts about happiness. I always try to plan for a better tomorrow. Like, fundamentally, I want to set myself up so that every next day is a better day than the current day. And whatever that means by way of sacrifice, if it means, saving 80% of what you take home from work so that you can save up the down payment for the house that you want, I try to put myself in a position as quickly as possible to get to where I wanted to go. But it's like, in terms of where I want to end up, the bar never stops moving. Whatever I achieve, I throw the bar further out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think that's the other thing, is always plan for a better tomorrow, but always have hope for something better. Because hope, I think, is just it's a powerful motivator, but it's also something that's just positive.
Yeah, I think there's kind of three things to go with hope, right? There's resilience and resourcefulness, which are two really, really key things, I believe, to happiness. Things don't always go right. Know you're tough enough to push forward, and know you have the resources, whether that's capital, friends, software tools, whatever that may be, to find the path forward. I think those are super important. And just on that, this is something that I talk to a lot of people about: success versus happiness, right? Because everybody links the two. No, I'm sorry, generalizing everybody. In general, success and happiness are linked.
People, I think, want to think they're linked. I think the reality is, for many people, they're not linked. And also, kind of back to my first story, they can change. What you think might make you happy at a certain point in your life might not make you happy when you either achieve it or sometime thereafter. But it still could represent success.
Oh, yeah.
And it may never stop representing success, but it may stop representing happiness for you.
Yep. Well, you can look at it this way. I remember when I first started traveling, all I wanted to do was sit in business class. All right. So the minute I get there, all right, I've succeeded, in theory. Doesn't matter where you sit, a 17-hour flight is not fun. It didn't last very long. But there's something to be said about, and I think this is a culture thing, and we won't get into that right now, but which way do things go, right? A lot of people say, if I'm successful, I'll be happy. When in truth, happiness is intrinsic. If you're, success is relative. So if you're happy, no one can take that away. No one can determine your success except you. So there's a very subjective, non-calculable, that's not even a word, way to kind of go about it. All right.
So I think that's you just hit on another thing I want to touch on or talk about, which is other people and their impact on you. I think
oh my God.
we have the example of us where I think we feed each other in a positive way.
Yep.
And that's like an ideal relationship. Now, there's a flip side to this, which is kind of the hater element, right? Like, I think in general, I'm very flexible and forgiving about how other people operate. I think a key to happiness is having empathy for others, so that you don't take things personal when they're not meant to be taken personal. But occasionally, you run into that one troll who just like goes out of their way to make your life miserable. And this is an important thing that I think I learned that I don't think I necessarily knew from the start, which is you have to take a step back in those situations.
Yep.
And you have to really think about why whatever this person is doing, they're doing it. And in many respects, it's a reflection of them far more than it is of you or anything you've done.
Oh my gosh, yes. So, for sure, if there's something toxic, somebody toxic, here's something I say in business. When you're trying to troubleshoot a problem, the root cause is always one of three things. The product's bad, process, or people, PPP. So whether it's software, hardware, whatever, like If the product's bad, replace it, update it, whatever it is, fix it. Usually the answer is fix it or get a new one. If the process is bad, fix it or get a new one. If it's people, the last thing you want for it is to be people, because the solution is exactly the same thing. You either fix it, not always the case, or just get rid of it. So being able to make a jump on that, I think, is one of the hardest things, but it's also one of the biggest contributors to happiness, just getting toxic people out of your lives and not having FOMO.
So, what do you think of this? It's pretty cool, right? We should sit on this together now. No, I'm kidding. We should not. It's a little too close for comfort. You're welcome to take the stool if you like. But, all right. Well, okay. With respect to this, though, this is interesting because I actually don't have to deal with a lot of people on purpose. Mm-hmm. My job doesn't necessitate it. I mean, at work I do, but like, they're not going to be the close friends that potentially could knife you in the back when you're not looking. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to those situations, and they're rare, but they do occasionally happen. And this is something that I don't think everyone either thinks to do or can do. Like, I know people who keep toxic people in their lives just because they've always been in their lives, and that's it. Like, they don't think of, like, what could life be? How much better could life be if this person wasn't here doing what they're doing, undermining what I'm doing? And part of the reason a lot of times that happens is, I think, people are insecure about their own lives, they're not happy, they're not content, and they want to drag you down into their muck.
Yep.
And as hard as it could be potentially to cut someone out, especially if you've got mutual friends, like, I just do it.
I think I'm about to be defriended.
No,
I'm not sure what's going on.
and I'll see you later. No.
Yeah, no, but I'm with you on that. So.
But you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Wait, I can't?
Not in your work setting, can you?
Oh, I do it all the time.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
So you are the boss.
Well, it's not that I am the boss, right? Business is business. Personal is separate. When it's business, I mean, in the music and entertainment industry, I say my job is, well, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You're managing egos. Simple as that. Learning to navigate egos to get to a solution that you need is an art. And I think that's honestly the journey that I enjoy. But when it gets to personal, so I agree with you 100% about your insecurity statement. Here is something I've noticed. 100% of all issues that I see where people make it about people, there's a problem, and fingers are being pointed. It always comes down to insecurity on one or either or both sides that is fueling this plethora of miscommunication. And in some cases, it's just not repairable, because when you mix miscommunication with ego, it's just going to be a no-win situation. And if ego conquers, well, usually the dude or dudette is they're just not good.
All right, so in terms of relating this to the audience then.
Okay.
Let's say that you've got someone that is an acquaintance and you're perfectly cool with them, but you just start to notice that, like, they make snide comments. Mm-hmm. At times when they could be supportive, they're intentionally not.
Yep.
You see the knife and you feel it, and they hide it really well. That's the thing, right? Like, when people are jerks, it's easy to be like, all right, F off. Mm-hmm. But when people pretend to be your friend but really aren't, that takes longer to identify.
Yep.
But I think it's much worse.
Right, because then other people don't see it, and you end up looking like the
that definitely
a-hole
happens.
Or something like that.
Right.
So, and in that particular case, I personally like to confront it head on. And when you confront it head on, you confront it one by one. And the reason is, hey, I have a problem with ABC. Never make it. I don't have a problem with you. I have a problem with ABC. Issue, subject, whatever it is. point at something, not the person. But confront it up front. Then usually what happens is either it gets fixed and it was a great conversation, or it doesn't get fixed. And sooner or later, people start to see it. And then you know you did everything you can. So if you cut cold turkey, you can sleep at night.
I'm just trying to figure out if I'm too severe.
Okay, what happened?
Because I will cut people out. No, it's not like anything specific. But I will cut people out cold turkey for my own personal well-being.
Yeah. So
I really think, and I've said this so many times, but I really think that psychology is so important. Psychology runs the world. It's not something I appreciated, especially growing up as an engineer, but I'm convinced now psychology runs the world. All the decisions that get made, they get made because somebody made them. It's the whole inception thing, right? It's like, change this one idea in this guy's head and watch the whole world change. Now, power and influence obviously have an impact, but at the end of the day, what people think drives how the world operates.
100%.
And so
that whole self-fulfilling prophecy, if you have a negative sliver in the back of your head, you will find a way to make that come true.
Right.
And positive is always a lot harder, so then people tend to go with the negative and then blame bad luck or who knows what. But all you have to do is watch that Kanye documentary. He was not Kanye back then, and he willed. Well, yeah.
That's a great point. So I think swinging things back to the positive side, when you set, there's like a fine balance or line that you walk when you set very aggressive goals that could be, quite frankly, impossible to achieve. And you know what? I'm just going to throw this out there because I'm going to point back to this video if and when it happens. I'll be like, you watch.
Okay.
I said it. Like, my end goal, not that money matters, it's more just, if you look at the way that I'm constructed to where I want to end up, like $50 to $100 million when I'm on my deathbed is like what I, fingers crossed, hope to have achieved.
Fair enough.
How I get there, I've got a roadmap in my head. You would say at this point in time, I'm not even close. But if you could see the roadmap, like, I'm an engineer, it makes sense to me. Like, I'm gonna make this happen one step at a time. And I think that's the thing is, I took a very lofty, seemingly impossible goal, and I broke it down into phases, and I've worked to accomplish those phases. And at times I've been ahead of schedule, at times I've been completely derailed.
Yep.
But I'm really happy with where I'm at now with the fact that, like, on this journey, it's kind of like I see this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And I'm on the journey and I think I'm going to get there. And so it makes the journey much sweeter, believing that I am.
Yep.
Versus constantly feeling like I'll never get there. And that's the fine line that I'm talking about, right? Like, how do you stay on the positive side of that line? And I think part of it is, for me anyway, is breaking down goals into smaller goals and trying to connect everything together so that it all makes sense, that you get here and then from here you go there.
So to put it as simplest as possible, at least in my opinion, it's very binary, right? Black or white, action or inaction. What I heard from you was lofty goal and you took action, whatever that action is. And everybody knows if the action is in a direction or in another direction. I'd say 90% of those out there, and we're hoping this inspires somebody, is, and I treat everything in business this way. Number one, strategy. Number two, tactics. Most importantly, and people don't do this enough, number three, assessment, right? You set your goal, you broke it up into phases, so you have these achievable tactics, and I'm making an assumption that you're assessing it all the time. How many people just are too scared to look? They never look, and it's like, what are you afraid of? The fact's not going to change.
That's a great point. So one of the things, and now this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's really important to what you said, and I've said this before, is that being real about a situation, being honest with yourself,
Yep.
the faster you can arrive at ground truth and accept it, the better you are with being able to work a path forward and move on.
Oh yeah. So this is, and the same goes in business as well. I tell every employee, and I act this way as well. Bad news early and upfront. The bad news is not going to change, but what you've achieved, and people will respect you for it, is you given as much time as possible to do something about whatever the news was.
Right. So I think that that's kind of part of happiness, right? Like, not necessarily a work-related problem. Mm-hmm. Think about just what life might throw at you, right? I will say that I have been fortunate enough not to have had any really devastating life news come my way. Even though I've always kind of like in the back of my head feared like I'm like that unlucky guy that it will happen to. I'll be honest, and I mean, I hope he's not watching, or maybe he is, but like my dad's always had heart-related health issues.
Okay, yep.
To the point that I was scared growing up that I was going to lose him very early. Mm-hmm. And, you know, knock on wood,
well,
he's very fortunate, he's still around.
Yeah.
But for issues, whether they're personal health, like there's two sides. One is you can correct it, and mm-hmm. two is you can't. And I think for me, generally speaking, you know, without knowing how I'll react in a truly devastating situation, because I don't think anybody can plan for that.
Yep.
When bad things happen, I usually just kind of, it's like immediately, it's happened, it's done. Explore how to get out of this. Explore how to fix this. Like it's almost within 5 seconds that I'm thinking ahead. And it happened with the Zadeh stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the first video I made. It's like, all right, we lost our money. Where do we go from here?
Yep.
And I think
your attitude showed in that first video as well.
Right. And so I think if you try to find the silver lining and remain positive, I mean, that's part of how I stay happy even in miserable situations. Mm-hmm. Now the other half of this is if you hit a situation where you can't change it.
Yep.
And that's where, and this is a really tough one sometimes, like having the grace to accept the things you cannot change and just move forward from it.
Okay, the hardest part in that, and so usually in those cases, bringing it back to kind of the original topic, the things that are out of control, health, obviously, but also people. So being able to just accept a situation and move forward, right? And then the funny thing is sometimes moving forward is walking away, but it's helpful.
And so you just hit on another thought in my mind, which is the health aspect. Because like, I think a lot of people who kind of knew me and how aggressive I was with my career think that I think like money is the be all end all, but it's absolutely not. It's like you need it to be able, it's a tool, you need it to be able to do the things you want to do.
Yep.
But like never ever get it twisted that health, family, and friends are the most important thing to happiness.
If I could say something to the audience, if you don't know how to read a balance sheet, learn to read a balance sheet, because it really is assets and liabilities, if it's business or if it's life assets, family, home, place to live, comfort, these are all assets, things that give security, whatever that may be. Liabilities, things that take from you, simple as that. And I think people, I know it took me a long time, even in business. I thought everything was about the profit loss. And I think the majority of the world thinks like that. What am I getting? What's coming in? But people aren't weighing, what do I have? Is this actually helping me? Is this hurting me? That I found later stages in my career to be more important.
And that's one thing I want to actually like hit on. I know I've hit on it before, but like, for a channel where we present a lot of expensive toys, like it's really important not to let the toys ruin your life. Mm-hmm. Like stuff once it becomes debt, ongoing debt, and a burden is a problem. Not having stuff and having freedom to operate is so much more important.
You know, there's something to be said about that. So we talked about like problems or growing up. I'll be the first to admit 99% of my problems growing up were self-induced. I'll leave it at that. That being said too, I think it seems to be human nature. Maybe it's a maturity thing. We grow up in our 20s, teens and 20s, making things more complicated, and then we spend the rest of our lives, 40s, 50s, whatever, trying to simplify it.
Oh, 100%.
Right, right. There's totally something there, and we'll just take these toys. We can take cars, or just anything. Like for me at least, the one thing, and you know this to be fact, I don't really have attachments to physical stuff. I'll buy it. Once I don't enjoy it, it's out the door. And yeah, so there is something to be said there. In this conversation, just for the record, I came in from dinner with my wife. I had no idea what we're going to talk about. So this is refreshing because we're just kind of hanging out, and I have 2 teenagers. So this is helping me practice, I think, the next 4 years of my life. I'm in that stage now where I have to deal with teenagers.
So, I mean, that's a great point. And we already know from the previous videos, we made them very long. Mm-hmm. But the point of these initially was to capture just our banter. I know this is already way longer than we had intended.
Yeah.
We were like, we're gonna make a short one today. Well, we blew that out of the water.
Yep.
Kind of funny, and I think we'll save this conversation for another one, although it all ties in. Of late, I have honestly been thinking about the meaning of life.
Okay.
And part of it is like, when I was younger, I was so aggressive in trying to get to a certain place. Making it in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley, trying to buy a house. Mm-hmm. If you don't buy a house, you work a year, you're further behind. So it's all about getting through the door, getting in. And I was very aggressive with it. And in a sense, it had blinders on me to like, that's what I'm trying to achieve. That's what I'm working for. I didn't have the luxury of taking a step back and going, why are we here? Why am I here? Am I here literally just to go to a 9 to 5 every day?
Yep.
I know a lot of people as they hit middle age feel that. Yep. It's like, is this all there is? I mean, for me, it's not. That's why I'm doing this. But
as you know, like I split my time between here and Nashville, and I'll say the quality of life there, just dollar for dollar, the value is night and day. And there's something to be said about that. So like with the meaning of life, it's interesting. I take that in phases, just like how you break down the financial planning aspect. And I'm in this phase now where I tell everybody, like, look, I have one thing I can do full time, 2 to 3 things that I can do part time, because being on your own is not like I have a 40 hour day. It's you get 6 hours of sleep and you find time for anything you can, whatever is on your priority list. But with that now, so because I have teenagers, I would say I appreciate where I wasn't correct on this now. I thought, you know what, the kids won't remember it, and I'm just gonna focus on building, business, work, whatever it is. And now that they're teenagers, I say there's one thing that I can focus on, 3 things that I can advise on, etc. Because just like with finances, don't put all your eggs in one basket, you have to hedge. But now I'm actually limiting that to like 1.5 to 2, and that other 1.5 to 2 is family. So I just say that to say, if people think there's one path and you have to stick to it, no, it can adjust, because I'm adjusting it live right now.
Right. All right. I think meaning of life makes a good hot talk at some point.
Yep.
I think it's probably too involved to go down that rabbit hole right now.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on, I got a good one. I don't know if I said this, but I think this is really, really important. Always be appreciative for what you're given and never go in expecting anything of anyone. Did I say that yet?
I mean, I've heard it before.
No,
you
I mean
haven't said it here. No.
Yeah.
No, you've
I
not
really
said it
believe
here.
that.
And that's absolutely true. Like, so someone once said to me, if you never expect anything, you won't get disappointed. Like, that's kind of extreme if you live that literally. But at the same time, if you go through life saying the whole John F. Kennedy thing, you know, like, what can I do versus what can I get? And you go into life with that appreciation, I believe you'll come out more fulfilled. Otherwise you'll come out grumpy. So it's all outlook and perspective. 100%. We should get Zion on the show. Like, he moved to LA, we can get to San Diego. If you guys don't know who Zion Clark is, he's my boy. Him and Craig, you know, like, love him to death. He was literally born with no legs. Foster system in the US, and he's living his best life.
So shout out to Famecast and the launch party. I was there.
Yeah.
I met Zion face to face. You're gonna have to show him this. Zion, watch this bit of this clip if you don't watch the whole thing. We would love to have you on because, I mean, I don't know how long. It was the same thing as you and me. I mean, it was like that chemistry,
Yeah.
right? When I met him, I was like, man, the positive energy just coming off this dude.
Yeah.
It's like, I want more. I want to know.
Here's the thing. Like, this is why he's so inspiring. Someone can watch this video. Legitimately, we're two dudes.
We have good lives. No, I know.
We enjoy each other's company, and we're like, you know what? We want to share it. That's just all it is. And then we're hoping we are. And if there's something people want to know about us or just a topic, please engage. Let us know. Now, going back to Zion real quick, this is one cat who had everything going against him, right? No lower extremities, foster system. I mean, he says it. He's like, Dennis, why are you taking me to a shoe store? I don't have feet. He's like, I'm 2 foot tall. But he's out there, right? Like, where was I? Super Bowl party, and it's like, people know who he is because he's always positive, like you said, right? And that's that strong mental toughness that I think is not teachable.
And one of the things that was very interesting from my interaction with him, and we touched on this briefly, is like, being positive, being happy, it's not like you're erasing the negative. That's not the way you stay positive. When I talked to him, he admitted, I mean, just in the time that we spent, he's like, sometimes it's a real struggle. And it's like, when you first see his energy, you're like, how could it be a struggle? I'm looking at you, you're amazing. But it's like, given the adversity, it's like, it makes sense. Of course it's a struggle.
Yeah.
For you to write it off just because he's so positive is like the wrong thing. You have to look at it as he really did figure this out for him. It's not just for show.
It's not.
And to maintain it, sometimes like reality hits you in the face, and you just, I mean, I don't know. I want to have him on because he's incredible, and I don't want to speak for him. I just want to talk to him.
Let's FaceTime him. It is a Friday night though. That's the thing. Let me just text him. If he texts back, then I'll FaceTime him. Yo. All right. We'll see if he replies. If he doesn't reply, we'll apologize, but we will. I do see him all the time, so we'll get him on.
I'm trying to think if there's any other high-level things I want to hit. I think we hit on everything that was kind of on my mind.
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting, right? Like, because here's something I promise. Have the conversation of happiness with yourself. Write it down. I guarantee you, 2 years from now, it's going to be different. 5 years later, way different. Priorities change, life circumstances change, you know, hopefully for the better, and it's a moving target. That's why it's about the journey.
I know what it was. The meaning of life one of the things that like crossed my mind, and this is gonna sound really funny when you hear it. A lot of people will look at like a YouTuber and go, that's not a job. What is that, right? Oh, you're a YouTuber. Everyone's a YouTuber. Now, I know that the YouTubers who are the most successful, like, it's more than, it's like 5 jobs, right? Like, to get to the top, you gotta hustle.
Yep.
But flip it around, and what's the purpose of you being here on this earth? A lot of people want to live forever. I might have said this to you. I actually think there's something so amazing about humans and human nature and biology that we take so for granted in this information age and technology age. We're trying to build artificial intelligence so that we can live on, but it's like, I can communicate to you out there, to you here, and if I pass away but have communicated my ideas effectively, guess what?
Yes.
I live on in you. I live on in you. It's a legacy.
He texted back. I'm texting him. I'm asking for permission to FaceTime. I'll never just spring it on somebody. So we'll let him come back. But keep going.
I really think we shouldn't waste the opportunity with him until we're like, he's here.
Okay. All right. We will get him next time. I'm sure he's fine.
But make sure he at least watches this video so that he knows what we're about.
Sounds good.
Any thoughts from your side? Any topics you want to throw out? Any closing thoughts?
You know what? Closing thoughts, because this is a big thing. We focus on happiness. We focus in on it being a journey. You know, I am in music, and there's a lot of insecurities. There's a lot of facades in the industry in terms of people look like they're having the time of their life, but it's really, really tough. It's the resiliency and resources. I just want to go back to that to say everybody has what it takes. Most people just don't know what the tools are. So if there's anything that we can provide, put it into the comments. Send a DM. Happy to help, happy to answer.
I think that's a great one. I mean,
legitimately.
Never giving up on something that you absolutely want to make happen, even in the absence of knowing everything about how you get from A to B. Just taking the incremental steps, I think, is like really important.
Yep.
Because this channel, when we started, like, in my head, I knew we would get to where we are. We're not even really anywhere. But when you start and it's like, oh, I put out a video, it got 10 views, and I've got 5 subscribers, and they're my best friend, my wife, my brother.
Yep.
You know, you don't go from 5 subscribers to 10,000 or 100,000 overnight. And in fact, you're constantly fighting technology. I'll say that without saying the A word. But I'm really happy that we're like doing this now, because this is where I wanted it to go. And I don't know that it's for everyone. I know we got an audience of sneakerheads, car lovers, but we also, I think, are starting to build the audience for people who are interested in this.
It's definitely relatable as well, because if you have a hobby, if you have a passion, if you have an industry, you know, just anything, understanding the backstory. I mean, we talked about this, like Marvel and DC superheroes used to just be superheroes, and Marvel did a good job of telling the backstory. We can show you all the shoes. Watch your favorite creator, whatever it is, and you see what's on TV. We'd all love to be the fly in the room for whatever was the journey for whomever or whatever business or industry that we're into. So that's, you're getting a piece under the veil of Icy Hot. Hope you like it.
And to that point, if you've got an interesting story to tell, put your butt right here and we'll talk.
Oh yeah, hit us up.
Closing, you actually kind of sprung on me that you're coming over with like 30 minutes notice. I had no idea we were going to do this tonight.
Yep.
But I had just filmed the unboxing for these bad boys.
Yep.
And I got an opinion on them. and I want to know what your opinion is without leading you into anything. So just, these are Desert Elephant Jordan 3s. Have a look. Tell me what you think. You want just one for now, so that you...
Yeah. Okay, number one, I wouldn't wear them, but that's just me. But that being said, what's crazy about this is I've already counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different textures. This is nuts. Like, between the suede here, the rippled leather, flat leather, Asynthite, this is probably just microfiber. But honestly, for a Nike, the construction is really nice.
So are you familiar with the black cement 3? I have to imagine you are.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can see the kind of linkage to it, right? But you can also see, for lack of a better word, the bastardization of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's subjective. If I said I wouldn't wear it.
You were saying it politely. So, you know, quick sneak peek at these. I got another actual video of my thoughts coming, but at a high level, I think the problem I've got with these is there was a rendering that came out before the shoe, actually the real shoe came out.
Yep.
And the rendering, it's kind of hard to see at night in this light. You know, black cement, this is gray. On these shoes, it's kind of like a tan
very
beige,
light
very light.
Yeah.
And on the rendering, the color here was the color here and the color there.
Yeah, there's too much going on. It doesn't...
And I feel like that would have been perfect.
Yep.
To my mind, like if they would have dropped this color here and here, shoe would have been incredible. This brown just throws everything off.
Also, the different textures don't match. Like, okay, and I love patterns. You know, and I typically don't care if it matches or not. I just do me. So I'm sure for somebody this makes sense. It does not make sense to me.
All right. That's your opinion. I got mine coming in the video. We don't need to dwell on this too much. Any final thoughts?
I think I'm good. I'd really like to hear what everybody has to say, or just questions. Like, even pick us apart. Happy
All right. Yeah. So let me do the formal closeout. 1, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Helps a lot.
Yep.
Support us. We really appreciate it. 2, if you want to see more of this, hit the subscribe button. So we got the hot talks, we got the sneaker reviews, we got the Zadeh stuff.
Yep. And more to come on that. I honestly thought we were going to come and talk about everything that I've missed in the past month. So we do just need to have a conversation before I leave again. Today's Friday. Dylan starts school on Wednesday, so I fly out Thursday.
Okay.
We need to find time. There's a lot that happened. I think we both went through this Zadeh thing is really intriguing. Just going through all the details of the indictment, my head is swirling.
There's a call, actually, quick update. The FBI is actually asking for information submitted via an online form. Who you are, how much you lost, how long you bought from him, and one of the questions, I think they're still trying to figure this out, is did you ever feel that products you received are not genuine? I think they're trying to figure out if he was selling counterfeits, which I don't believe he was. Yeah. But I think that they're seeking that answer.
I mean, if they're trying to do that, then they have to go after StockX too. So I'm not sure.
The tentacles that this could reach into, I'm sure, are far.
Yeah.
You got StockX, you got Shopify, you got PayPal, you got Trophy Room.
Yep.
Which potentially could lead to Nike. I kind of feel like he's going to be the fall guy, and U.S. corporations are not going to get drugged through this muck, but we'll see.
Who knew kicks would be like the crypto market, and it needs to be regulated?
All right. I think we
covered it.
We made this one way longer than we had intended. We appreciate you watching.
Yep.
And
see you at the next one.